rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
All right, welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast on this Thursday. And guys, I'm recording this podcast a little later today, simply because we've had some technical difficulties like you would not believe were it not for Gabe knowing something about this stuff. No, knowing a lot about this stuff, I'm not sure that we would be up and running, but this is the issue with a lot of, this is the issue with, it's just some behind the scenes stuff that happens here on occasion. So I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Again, please follow us everywhere we are on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. You can like and subscribe to the page or the show on YouTube, as well as Rumble. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find us. I want to stay tuned for a quick program messaging, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, forgive me. That was a pretty whack opening. Just so much going on behind the scenes here. But all right, so we got a lot to get to today. Obviously, Jacob Chansley, I'm sure you guys know or have heard by now that Jacob Chansley, the guy that is known as or also known as the Qanon Shaman, has been released from prison. As of today, his attorney tweeted this out earlier today. So we are so glad to hear that he's finally home. He was supposed to he got sentenced to in November of 2021. He got sentenced, I believe that was the month. He got sentenced to 41 months in prison. He had already served some time in jail. Letting him out now would be, I believe, at the 27-month mark, if I recall correctly, because I understand that he got out 14 months earlier than he was supposed to. His attorney claims that nothing special happened, nothing out of the he did nothing extraordinary for this to happen. His guy was released as of today. Again, the shaman, or Jacob Chansley, forgive me, Jacob Chansley, he expected to spend at least another year in jail. What do you chalk this up to? The only thing that I can think of is Tucker Carlson's courage and willingness to be able to show the J6 videos that he had and televised on his TV program. I believe, were it not for that Jacob Chansley would still be sitting in jail. And also, I believe as a result of that, more of the defense attorneys have a little ammo, so to speak, to go back into those courtrooms and demand some real justice for clients that are likely sitting up in that DC jail. I mean, literally without the ability to go see to go see a judge, without the ability to be able to post bail because they're considered domestic terrorists. I hope and pray that their attorneys will have the backbone to go back into court and fight it. And hopefully someone in Washington, D.C., although it almost seems like it's an impossibility, but I hope that someone in Washington, D.C. will just have some mercy on these guys, knowing that a lot was said and done that's a complete and utter lie when it comes to J6. Jacob Chansley in particular, Tucker Carlson was able to show the video where literally police officers were ushering him around the Capitol facility. All right, so all of this bad stuff, this guy was pictured as a nut and going wild, causing all this ruckus and chaos. He did anything but. So it was absolutely insane. So that is one piece of news that I'm so glad we were able to speak about today. By the end of this podcast, I'm going to give you some good news. Earlier in the week, this Wall Street Journal poll broke, and it was really discouraging if you read it, initially, because basically it showed that Americans were down when it came to patriotism. Their support for traditional American values was down big time, on the decline. That included patriotism, religion, and community. It also included having children, fewer people wanting to have children. All that people seem to be concerned about in the polling was money. I'm going to tell you why I think we've staved this off in time. I'm going to tell you why I think that poll is a blessing and not a curse. And for one specific reason, in which I'll get to, and no one else pointed it out. And I was sitting here thinking, like, I was down yesterday. I ran a rerun of John Lott. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast, or I hope you'll share that podcast, because it is still very pertinent to the mass shooting that took place in Nashville, where 4 innocent 9-year-old children were murdered and slaughtered by this freaking assassin, and also three people, including a substitute teacher, if I recall correctly, a janitor, and the lady that ran the Covenant school. I got to be honest with you, Greg Gutfeld really convicted me last night. I'm so glad he did. And I'm sure he did that for many people. And it was just putting things back into perspective, because we have been glorifying this trans shooter, even though we were not trying to, but giving this trans shooter so much time, trying to is he trans? Is she, all this kind of crap. What doesn't matter? To a certain extent, it doesn't matter. I will share you some trans stories that do matter. There were some things that are going on in the trans community I was absolutely clueless about. And what's sad is I expect to see more violence as a result of this. And you guys know about this. What is it? Have you heard? I'm not sure if you heard about this, Gabe, but going on this Saturday, I believe it's called the Trans Day of Vengeance or something like that, in Washington, D.C. If I recall, it's absolutely insane. Conservatives are being censored on Twitter as a result of it. Maybe the excuse is Twitter doesn't want it to spread. I'm not exactly sure, but it's insane. I'm going to bring you a couple of more stories because I want you to understand that the left is a threat. And I expressed this the other day. I want you to understand that the left is coming after your guns. And I want you to, we can no longer sit still and just say, I'm pro 2A. I need you to support a cause. I need you to call your congressman and senator. I need you to speak out against it. I gave you some stats. Those stats are real. You can check the Crime Prevention Research Center. John Lott, the premier researcher when it comes to guns and gun violence in the United States of America, does the best research on this stuff, and he extrapolates the research that our CDC will do, ATF, so on, etc. He makes the numbers real. I mean, he dives deep. It's really, really important that you know this. And I'll share this information here and some more information that he's come up with. But gun-free zones are a big issue. Again, what I shared the other day, that 2 million people, approximately Americans every year, use guns for good purposes. I mean, as far as their good gun uses to stop a crime, to prevent a crime. So it's 4 to 5 times more often that guns are used in the United States to prevent a crime from happening, rather than a gun being used during a crime. And that's very important information that isn't shared. But again, I'm going to share with you some information to prove that the left is still coming after us, to prove that we have to be vigilant. And just so that you understand that if we don't win the White House, I hesitate to say this at times because I don't want to be a worry wart. I don't want to be a negative Nelly. I don't want to be hyperbolic where, Carl, you're just, no, I'm serious. I believe that we are on the precipice of losing this country, and what we cannot do, what we need to all agree on, are the Bill of Rights. All right. Second Amendment being extremely important to that. So I'm going to get on to some of these issues. And I just want you to be mindful. I want you to be mindful of how dangerously close we are to losing America. I can tell you, I didn't even intend to get on today, and I don't want to be somber, but I want to be completely real. And I want you to fight. I want you to dig your freaking heels in and fight for this country. And I'm not talking about throwing blows. I'm not talking about going in. I'm not talking about violence. But you need to understand what's happening. You need to share what's happening. I need you guys to share this podcast so people understand the sense of urgency that we need to have if we're going to save this country. And I'm not being hyperbolic about this, but just so much going on that I was not aware of. So we've seen the abuse. We've seen the abuse from the left. Again, Qanon Shaman, I announced at the beginning of this podcast, was just released from jail. Senator Katie Britt I forget where she's from, and I was going to get a video up and going, but honestly, we're still dealing with some technical difficulties. It's the weirdest thing, but thank God we're able to at least roll today. But the videos make it a lot harder. So I will just share that with you. Senator Katie Britt, and again, I forget where she's from, but she grilled, good Lord, Attorney General Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court justices. There's a section of the law where U.S. Marshals are to protect the Supreme Court justices, right? There isn't supposed to be any protesting outside of their homes if the protesting is meant to sway their decisions on anything. And obviously, the protesters that stood outside of their homes, marched outside of their homes in the summer of 2022, or right before the summer of 2022, can't recall correctly. They intend to shape the Supreme Court's view, the justices' view, or the justices' vote, I should say, on overturning Roe v. Wade. That was the goal. It was to intimidate them. Obviously, you know of the shooter or the potential shooter that came out to Judge Kavanaugh's home with the intention of doing some great bodily harm. He had a firearm. He had other things that would suggest he wanted to tie the justice up. He wanted to torture him to some or whatever. But anyway, Senator Katie Britt grills Merrick Garland, and come to find out, there's a whistleblower inside of the DOJ where the U.S. Marshal Service was essentially told to stand down. She read Merrick Garland the Riot Act, and she was calm about it, but she just broke it down. I guess that I shouldn't say read him the Riot Act, but she was calm about it, but she broke it down. Whatever the section of the law is that required those U.S. Marshals to arrest people and remove them from the scene if they're out protesting and causing chaos and stuff in front of the homes, they were given instructions from the DOJ, assumingly from Merrick Garland, to basically stand down. These people had a right to free speech and protest and so on, etc. So a whistleblower informed her of this information, gave her a copy of the rules that they were given. So the U.S. Marshals essentially did nothing about a lot of the protesters outside of the justices' homes because they were told not to. So, guys, I want you to understand the left is coming for conservatives or people that they deem to be conservatives. All right. Very, 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 very important here for you to know and understand. Excuse me. That was slight pause here. I got to, believe it or not, I got it important text right in the middle of this. Okay. Never mind. All right. Person answered their own question. Okay. So good. All right. So before I go any further, let me just inform you of you're going to need some good night's rest. All right. So I want to talk to you about my friends at MyPillow. Mike Lindell at MyPillow.com, providing American jobs, American manufacturing. Listen, right now, you guys know how great the MyPillow, the original MyPillow is. Well, now there's the MyPillow 2.0. It has the same patented adjusted feel as the original MyPillow. Or I'm sorry, I skipped over. This is crazy. There's a new MyPillow 2.0 out. And I want you guys to go out and get it, because if you didn't think your night of sleep, if you will, could get any better, well, you're wrong. It can with the new MyPillow 2.0. So the new MyPillow 2.0 comes with the same patented adjusted feel as the original MyPillow, but now it has this temperature regulating thread that makes it softer, smoother, and cooler. If you can believe that, it feels so good. It is unbelievable. You will absolutely love it. And also, there's a buy one, get one free offer when you mention my name or use my name as a promo code, Carl, C-A-R-L. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener square that's at the top of the page, and enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263, and you'll get a twofer. What does that mean? You'll get buy one, get one free of the MyPillow 2.0s. Guys, now is the time to support American businesses, American jobs, American manufacturing. MyPillow is doing it. These products come with a 10-year warranty, a 60-day money-back guarantee. You cannot beat that with a bat. All right. So go to mypillow.com right now. Use my name as the promo code. Click on the radio listener square. Spell my name, C-A-R-L. Give them a call, 800-858-0263. 888-866-3363 and take advantage of your MyPillow 2.0s. All right, plural. Now, let me get back to a couple of things that I read. So I just mentioned QAnon Shaman, all right, release, praise God, J6, all right, that was happening. I just told you about the story where it was Senator Katie Britt, is her name, if I recall correctly, grilled AG Merrick Garland, and come to find out that a whistleblower gave her pertinent information to suggest that Merrick Garland or someone in the DOJ suggested that the protesters be allowed to continue to protest and essentially intimidate the justices in front of their homes last summer as they were contemplating overturning Roe v. Wade. They were basically given stand down orders. So the DOJ is willing to intimidate anybody, whether it is a protester, an American citizen that they're supposed to serve and protect, whether it is part of the judicial branch of our federal government with the Supreme Court of the United States of America. These lefties that are inside of our U.S. government are willing to intimidate any and everyone. Now, here's a piece of breaking news I'm not sure that you've heard about. The news has been so plentiful this week, but this came out in the news. It was a Durham's bombshell. So a prosecutor unveils smoking gun, FBI text message explaining the joint venture, quote unquote, to smear Donald Trump. So special counsel John Durham, we've all been like, okay, where is John Durham? Where is he? Is he somewhere hanging out with Waldo? We don't know. All right. But anyway, he's popped up. So John Durham is revealing now, hat tip to just the news, a new smoking gun evidence, a text message that shows a Clinton lawyer, it would be Michael Sussman, lied to the FBI while putting the courts on notice that he is prepared to show the effort to smear Donald Trump with the now disproven Russia collusion hoax. So in a bombshell court filing, this happened on Monday, by the way, Durham for the first time suggested Hillary Clinton's campaign and her researchers and others formed a quote, joint venture or conspiracy, close quote, for the purpose of weaving the collusion story to harm Trump's election chances and then the start of his presidency. All right. So they intended to destroy that. There were text messages found now. These parties, according to John Durham, acted as joint ventures and therefore should be considered as co-conspirators, he wrote. Durham also revealed he unearthed text messages or a text message showing that Hillary Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman lied to the FBI and told them that he was not working on behalf of any client when he delivered the now discredited anti-Trump research that led up to the 2016 election, when in fact he was working for Clinton's campaign and another client as well. This according to prosecutors. So the existence of the text message is between Michael Sussman, again Hillary Clinton's, I believe attorney. I believe her attorney or attorney for her campaign. So Michael Sussman, and then federal FBI counsel James Baker, who was the FBI counsel. You guys may remember James Baker. He went to Twitter, and right before Elon Musk was going to release I can't remember if it was the first Twitter file or the second Twitter file. James Baker was in there causing havoc, trying to make sure that some of the information didn't get out. So Elon Musk ended up firing him, but he was the general counsel for the FBI before moving to Twitter, which proves to you that there was an incestuous relationship, right, between Twitter pre-Elon Musk and the FBI. All right, but now these court papers have revealed a filing as of late Monday that there were these text messages that did exist between Sussman and Jim Baker, or at least a text message. All right. So prosecutors said they intend to show Sussman gave a false story to the FBI. He lied, but then told the truth about working on behalf of the Clinton campaign when he later testified in front of Congress. All right. So he lied to the FBI, but he told the truth in front of Congress. And the guy should be in jail. All right. Well, he tried to jail him, but it didn't happen. It says, here's what the text says, and I quote, Jim, it's Michael Sussman. I have something time sensitive I need to discuss. close quote. This is what Sussman texted Baker. He went on to say, do you have availability for a short meeting tomorrow? I'm coming on my own, not on behalf of a client or company. Want to help the Bureau. Thanks, close quote. All right. So the defendant basically lied later. Our prosecutor said the text message will become essential evidence at the trial to show Sussman lied to the FBI. It goes on further in the filing. The defendant lied in the meeting, falsely stating the general counsel to the general counsel that he was not providing the allegations to the FBI on behalf of a client, when in fact, according to Durham, the defendant had assembled and conveyed the allegations to the FBI on behalf of at least two specific clients, including a technology executive, tech executive one, at a U.S.-based internet company one, and the Clinton campaign. So basically, he lied to the FBI, told the truth to Congress, and they caught his behind in a text message. But this is the stuff that the left has been able to get away with because they're in bed with each other. But this is big news. This news broke earlier this week, but we did not hear much about it. Now, I want to give you some disturbing news. And I said earlier, I'm not sure if I referenced it enough. I got anyway. Greg Gutfeld, I thought, did an amazing monologue last night on his show. And basically, he explained how we were still essentially mainstream media, including conservative media, glorifying this shooter, giving this shooter all of these accolades, even without trying it, because we keep repeating the same news over and over and over and over and over again. And many people will do it for clicks. Now, I certainly want to get the information out to you. I want you to know what was going on. I want you to know who was involved. I do want you to know who the shooter was. But at the same time, once you've got the information, you've got the information, right? So he was calling on media outlets of all sorts to calm down with that. And there's so much about the victims that we don't even know about. We know more about the shooter, a worthless piece of crap, than we do know about the. Now, I will say this: I feel bad for the Nashville murderers or assassins' parents. From stories that I've read, they appear to, although they seem to be anti-2A, they seem to be decent people, seem to be, Christians and good people in that sense, had religious values. I don't know why they let their daughter stay in their home for so long, but that's neither here or there. But understand that regardless, a parent is still going to look at their child and love their child and wonder where they went wrong. And obviously the lady had some emotional issues, but all in all, she was a murderer. And I know this may sound grotesque. I know it may sound mean, but I believe this is the way that all school shooters, mass public school shooters, should die. I believe they should die on the spot. I don't think they deserve to go to court. That is me. I think that police officers, you're in the school, you're shooting up innocent children. Let's go ahead. Let's not waste any taxpayer money. The cost of a bullet or a couple of bullets is really cheap compared to a person sitting in jail for the rest of their lives, or going to trial and wasting all this time, energy, resources. It's a waste of time. Pop them dead right on the spot. You kill people like that, you are so heartless to be able to do that. I really don't give a damn if you have a mental disorder or if you don't. Does not matter to me. Once you show that you are capable of going into a school and eliminating and killing innocent children, you know what? God has got to deal with that, right? We'll send you to God. We'll let you go ahead and deal with him. Now, let me give you some news that I was not aware about that is disturbing. But I want to give you a silver lining, because I think the Wall Street Journal piece that broke or polling that broke in earlier this week was like, holy crap, we are doomed. I don't think we are, but I do think we're on the precipice. I'm actually, I may sound like a Debbie Downer at the beginning of the podcast, but I am convinced that we can turn this ship around. All you have to do is dig in your heels and keep fighting. But I'm convinced that we can turn this stuff around, and I'll explain why. But first, let me share a couple of things with you. I want you to know. I think it's very important for you to know. I want you guys to walk away informed when you listen to this podcast. But let me share some things because everyone is talking about taking away, well, not everyone, but those on the left, they're talking about taking away your 2A rights. And forgive me while I scroll. If you're watching me on video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Carl Jackson Show on YouTube. We're also on Rumble. Please, again, follow us on social media. We would very much so appreciate that. But I'm strolling through. I'm trying to find, man, I thought I saved it. Oh, man, I thought I saved it. This is not good. Okay. Oh, here it is. Man, I've looked through a lot of sometimes I'm reading and I don't necessarily know how much I'm reading, because I do read incessantly. All right. Mass public shootings. I want you guys to understand how dangerous it is to have these gun-free zones. I saw Representative Adam Schiff. He put out this long tweet. We need to ban assault weapons. There is no such thing as an assault weapon, folks. If someone uses a rock, if someone uses a shoe, if someone uses a belt, if someone uses a knife, if someone uses a hammer to commit an assault, that is an assault weapon. All right, what we see when they're talking about assault weapon, they're talking about an AR-15 style platform, AR-15 style rifle. All right, that particular platform. There are guns that are much stronger than AR-15s. So if they get AR-15s, you can bet your bottom dollar they are going to come. I don't know where that term came from. Bet your bottom dollar. Anyway, but they're you can bet that they're going to come for stronger guns. You're talking about AR-15s that have a smaller caliber bullet, high velocity bullet, and no doubt they're pretty accurate guns, but they're not necessarily they're not the most powerful gun and big bad gun you can get out there, not by a long shot. But John Lott of the Crime Prevention Research Institute, he updated some information on public mass shootings. I just want to quickly illustrate to you what he's found. Now, this is the number one researcher when it comes to gun research inside of the United States. He has no agenda. He's just giving you the facts, the real information. So he talks about the type of guns that are used in a public mass shooting, and he offers pie charts. This is from 1998. I believe that's Columbine, all the way through this Nashville shooting here. But let me show you what he found. The types of guns used in public mass shootings. So the left wants to scare you, and they want you to believe it's these big bad AR-15s, these military style weapons, these weapons of war, which they are not weapons of war. If the military used these when they're fighting on the battleground, they would lose. They have automatic rifles when you're in the military. We don't have that here. All right, so that's a bold-faced lie. Simply not true. But here are the types of guns that are used in public mass shooting percentage-wise. Let me try to enlarge this a little bit. All right, so 56.4% of the guns that are used in public mass shootings are handguns. All right, the next largest number is 14.9% of these public mass shootings occur with rifles. The next largest number is 12.8% of public mass shootings that occur with a handgun and a rifle. So a person maybe has a pocket pistol, not a pocket pistol, but a pistol on their side, a sidearm, if you will, and a long rifle of sorts. All right. The next biggest number, 9.6%, that use a handgun and a shotgun. So not a rifle, but a handgun and a shotgun, like a pump action, I'd imagine. Shotgun, 12 gauge shotgun or something of that sort. The next number that you'll find, did I say, I think I said 14.9% that murders only with rifles. That was actually 14.9%, 12.8% a handgun and a rifle, 9.6% handgun and shotgun. And then you have 3.2% murders that use murders that are public mass shootings that only involve shotguns. The same is true for all three types of weapons. So shotgun, handgun, and rifle, 3.2%. All right, so 56.4%. Overwhelmingly, the guns used for mass public shootings are handguns. All right, so just keep that in mind. Let me give you some more stats. I want you to be aware of this. Write this down if you can. I want you to be aware of this information so that you can, because you've got to be able to share this information when people, when you're getting into these arguments with people. And I don't mean being loud and being a jerk or any of that kind of stuff, but you do want to know your stuff and you want to be assertive. Like, no, I'm sorry, that is not true. All these mass public shootings with AR-15s or assault weapons, first off, correct them on assault weapons. There's no such thing as an assault weapon. These are sporting rifles. I would call them, they're self-defense rifles when you need them. But most people use them for sporting. All right. Some people use them for hunting, for different types of game, smaller game, because obviously an AR-15 is not as powerful. Now, here's the percent of mass public shootings in gun-free zones. This from 1950 to March of this year, up to the Nashville shooting. All right. So the percentage of mass public shootings in gun-free zones dating back to 1950, 94%. 94%, going back all the way back to 1950, or from 1950 to March 27th of this year, 94% of mass public shootings have occurred in gun-free zones. 94%. 94 out of 100 mass public shootings have occurred in gun-free zones. This is absolutely insane. If we and he gives percentages as he increases in years, or not increases, but as he goes from 1950 to March 27, 2023. Then he looks at 1998 to March 2023 in gun-free zones. 84%. If you look at the stats just from 98 to March 27th, 2003, the sex of mass public shooters, almost always men, 97% men. That's why the Nashville situation was so spectacular, sadly. But I mean, just overwhelmingly, these gun-free zones, they're a danger. They're a danger. We've got to be able to protect our schools. So I do want to share this with you before I share this disturbing information that I found online today. Hat tip to Breitbart. But let me first, let's see. I want to make sure that I give you this information of what we need to do to protect our schooling. And we'll try to get an expert on to talk about this as well. But defending your school takes 4 Ds, as the experts at what's the name of this place? School security specialists recommend, and they talk about target hardening and why it's important. So target hardening the school, meaning it's not a soft target. It's harder to get into, harder to break into, harder to murder people on the spot. You want to do all that you can to prevent the crime from happening or to protect occupants during an attack. And we have all heard the story now that this murderer in Nashville, this assassin, this disgusting piece of crap, literally passed up on a couple of other facilities or schools simply because she was aware, she had scoped it or researched it and was aware that there were more security in place. The schools were more secure in whatever way that meant. I don't know if that meant security guards. I don't know if that meant metal doors as opposed to glass doors. I don't know exactly what that meant. And I'm sure that will come out. The manifesto needs to come out at this point. But you want to deny them access, all right, to the best of your ability. You want to deny these people access. If that means enclosing schools within, I'm sorry, I don't mind it. We got to, if you don't want to see children slaughtered like this, I don't care if we have fences with razors on. I mean, I'm sorry. If they got to feel like a prison, they have to feel like a prison. I want to make sure that every single door is locked. There should be primarily one entrance point. That doesn't mean that that should be the only exit per se, but there should be only one entrance that children are allowed to enter into during school time. And I would say the same is true at the end of the day. There needs to be one exit that they use to exit through. That doesn't mean that there should be one exit on campus. All right. So I want to make that emphatically clear, but these doors should be locked shut. They should be able to close securely. In the event of the alarm, there should be cameras in place so that if there's any suspicious activity in the parking lot, people are made aware. You want to do all that you can to deny access right from the beginning. Metal detectors, hardened doors, no more of these glass doors. Although there is some glass that is supposed to be fortified glass, like occurred. I think it was the Parkland shooting. How targeted hiring was effective in the Parkland shooting. The fortified glass in the teacher's lounge prevented the attacker from shooting out the window and affecting a sniper position. All right, so there is a such thing as fortified glass. So maybe you use these big metal doors and wood doors with fortified glass as well, so that the shooter has a hard time getting in. You could see that the Nashville shooter was literally shot through the doors. All right, so you want to deny access. You want to do all that you can to delay the act, give officers time to get there. Sometimes that's going to mean fighting back. I don't know, but you want to do all that you can to delay the act. You want to be able to detect the crime. So again, anything that seems out of place, all right, then deter the act. So deny access, delay the act, detect the crime, deter the attack. Deny access, delay the act, detect the crime, deter the attack. One of the ways to deter the attack is you got to have armed people. I listen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you feel about 2A. This is the only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun. It's going to be a good guy that's willing to take up arms to fight back. It's as simple as that. Hey, I can't believe I could actually hear you. It's as simple as that. That's the only way to do it. You can say you hate guns all you want. If you are serious about protecting schools, you've got to. Someone has to be armed with a gun. All right, now moving on. Let me just get to this real quick. I didn't expect to be on here this long, but what do you know? I start talking, and then all of a sudden things start coming out. But there are a couple of articles that actually blew me away because I didn't know this. I did not know this. First off, there is a game. Here it is. This blew me away. I didn't know this existed. And so this is the left is training their people to get violent. The left is training their people. All right. So there's a trans anti-Christian video game attacking quote unquote gender critical tyrants, close quote, that was released just a couple of months ago. All right. So a video game featuring a transgender hero who shoots down trans critics, including priests, in order to allow players to, quote, unleash their pent-up fury upon the gender-critical tyrants with an arsenal of deadly weapons, close quote. What kind of sick, evil, twisted person would create a video game like this? Well, this game was published by a trans game developer 2 months before the Nashville massacre, titled Turfenstein 3D. You guys heard of this? The game's name is a play on the pejorative term TERF, or trans exclusionary radical feminists. All right. So trans exclusionary radical feminist, the acronym is TERF. According to dictionary.com, it refers to an, quote, advocate of radical feminism who believes that a trans woman's gender identity is not legitimate and who is hostile to the inclusion of trans people and gender diverse people in the feminist movement. The game is a spinoff of the classic Wolfenstein. I've never been a video game person, so I don't know a lot of these games. I've heard of Fortnite because everybody talked about it. I've heard, obviously, Mike Tyson Punch Out back in the day. Everybody was talking about, but Super Mario Brothers, that kind of stuff. But I've never been a video game person, so I wouldn't know a lot of this stuff. The longest running first person. So this game, Wolfenstein, is the longest running first person shooter series where an American army captain protagonist battles off evil Nazis. So that's what this game that this trans person created. Apparently, critics of trans people that they claim are critics are similar to Nazis, or to be compared to Nazis. The game was released in mid-January by a trans game developer named Sandra Moen and is available on the Steam video game digital distribution service. This according to developers' description on the site. The game entails, quote, escaping gender fascist concentration camp, close quote. Unleash your pent-up fury upon the gender-critical tyrants with an arsenal of deadly weapons and tactics in cathartic bliss, close quote. What a sick, evil person. It further states the game offers LGBTQAI+, transgender, and feminist themes of gender-critical people and what a post-war apocalyptic world would look like if gender fascists won. In this dystopian world, fascists have killed and imprisoned all transgender and queer people, subjecting them to harsh conversion therapy, meaning being their natural selves, I guess, imprisonment and death. You play as an escapee fleeing their detention center while you exact your revenge. This game brings to light the very real transphobic violence many transgender people face for just existing, and draw a comparison between gender critics and Nazi Germany. It also claims that the ability to artistically express yourself is a proven way to heal trauma and possibly also move on, close quote. This is sick. I didn't know this existed. I did not know this existed. Listen, video games can't make you kill people, right? I mean, we all still have common sense. We know the law, but there are people out there that are sick. There are people that are demented, and you do have to wonder, have this young girl come across this particular video game? You do have to wonder that. There's another piece of, there's some more information. I absolutely had no idea, again, that this existed. Four transsexual mass shooters in the last less than 5 years. So in less than 5 years, we've had 4 people who identify as trans that have committed mass shootings. All right. I'm not going to give the names, but I'll give the dates. November 2018, May of 2019. All right. So the first one, let's see. This was a man identifying as a woman that wounded 3 people and killed 3 after opening fire at his place of employment in Aberdeen, Maryland. That was in November 2018. In May of 2019, a Colorado woman who identified as a dude shot up a school, killing 1 and wounding 8. In November of 2022, another Colorado man who shot up a gay nightclub, killing 5 and wounding 18, was identified as trans. Obviously, you have Monday, this chick that pretending to be a man that sadly murdered 3 9-year-old innocent children and some people, middle-aged people, all 361 years of age. So this stuff happens more than you would think. And now there's some stats here that was given by Breitbart. In less than 5 years, that's 4 mass shootings committed by people who make up about 1/2 of 1%. You got that right. Trans people make up about 1/2 of 1% of the population. And even that number has been heightened in the last few years or grown exponentially just because it's everywhere. It's become a fad. I'm sorry, but I believe that to be true. All right. I think a lot of people want to be a victim. They see Black people getting all these benefits from being victims. And so you've got a lot of little white girls out there and white boys that want to be victims as well and be a part of the team, the victim team, if you will. So in less than 5 years, 4 mass shootings committed by trans people that make up 1/2 of 1% of the population. So that works out to around 2.75 mass shootings per million transsexuals over 4 years. Well, man, that seems like such a tiny number, Carl. You're right. But suppose, listen to this stat. Suppose the roughly 325 million American heterosexuals committed mass shootings at that rate. In that case, you'd be talking about somewhere around 900 mass shootings over 4 years. And I'm talking real mass shootings, the columnist says, schools and places of employment, not the BS mass shootings fabricated by fake media outlets like CNN. All right, so just so you're aware, this stuff is insane. What's happening with the trans community? It almost appears as though the Democrat Party, again, just like they did with Antifa, just like they've done with BLM, they are using this people to become their activists and their violent activists against people of which they disagree. People like you and I, people that adore the Constitution. That's what appears to be happening. Now, let me end with this. I wanted to go over this Dennis Prager column, but I think I'll save this for tomorrow because he talks about, do conservatives oppose change? I think it was a really important column that he's written, and I will get into it and why it's important to conserve the best from the past. And I think it's a fabulously written article by Dennis Prager. But let me share with you. Let me end on this note. And again, please support my sponsor. Sponsor for today's show is My Pillow. Again, the My Pillow 2.0 is out, and there's a buy one get one free offer. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listener square at the top of the page. Enter my name, Carl, Carl. All right, and you'll get a free My Pillow. You have to buy one, but it's buy one, get one free My Pillow, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. Guys, you're talking about American jobs, American manufacturing, and a good night's rest. Not to mention the 10-year warranty, 60-day money back guarantee. So you can't beat that with a bat. All right, so let me share just some numbers earlier where everyone was talking about this at the beginning of the week, because essentially, if all these things are true, this Wall Street Journal poll, if all these things are true, if our support for traditional values and patriotism are on the decline in the numbers in which they are, then America is over. We're finished. You can there's no other way to put it. But I want to give you reason for hope, and I want to close with this. I want to give you reason for hope. All right. So I love the way that it was framed by Tyler O'Neill, the Daily Signal. And as I was reading through the Wall Street Journal poll earlier in the week, and I got discouraged like anyone else did, and I'm just like, man, it was such a blow, because I come onto this podcast and I know colleagues of mine, whether on radio or podcasting with Salem, man, these people behind the microphones, they believe what they say. They love this country. My colleagues here in Orlando, the American Adversaries, Matt Buff, all these people, they love this country. But you get a poll like this, and it is devastating, because you're like, man, you feel as though you've failed. I honestly took the poll. Personally. I really did. And I'm like, man, what are we now? I know I'm just one, and there are much bigger names out there than me, but I love this country, and I want to be a part of restoring this country, our Judeo-Christian values, our constitutional principles. I want to be a part of the American restoration movement, if you will. And so getting a poll like this absolutely, or hearing a poll, or seeing or reading a poll like this, absolutely devastates you. It does something to the psyche, and it did for me. But then, as I thought about it, and I looked at one particular facet of the poll, there was a silver lining, even though you might not think it. Let me just read this paragraph from the Daily Signal. All right, so back in 1998, Americans overwhelmingly rated these things as very important. Now, I want you to understand that the Wall Street Journal poll goes back to a longer period of time. They go back 25. No, wait a minute. No, it is 1998. So never mind. All right. So they go back to 1998. So Americans overwhelmingly rated these things as very important. So patriotism in 1998, 70% of Americans thought patriotism was important. Religion, 62% of Americans thought it was important. Having children, 59% thought it was important in 98. By 2019, those numbers had dropped, but not precipitously. All right. So 2019 to 61%, which isn't great, but not horrible. So down, patriotism down from 70 to 61. Religion, which is bad, but not completely horrible, down 62 to 48%. And then, of course, you have people that want children, which is down significantly, 59% of people down to 43% in 2019. All right, so they were down, but not to a point where the trend, it didn't seem like could be reversed, although the trend was heading in the wrong direction and didn't seem to be remaining stagnant. So that was reason for concern. But in 2023, they fell to down from 70% patriotism did to 38%. Religion down from 62% to 39% in 2023. Having children down from 59% to 30%. So that is a massive drop. But what transpired? Listen, all this time, 1998 to 2019, we're looking at 21 years where the numbers dropped significantly, but they weren't overwhelming where we thought we'd lose the country. It's only been in the last 4 years. Well, what's transpired in the last 4 years, besides the left trying to take down Donald Trump completely, what was the lockdowns? It was the lockdowns and people at home on their phones, not communicating with people like they should, not being at work, not talking to real people, but on their phones, acting like robots for nearly 2 years. And I believe this started the decay. The good news is, and I think the silver lining is, we can restore a lot of the things that we did just a few years ago. I think we can work on that. And right now we have all of the outlets and tools that we need to do it. Yes, conservatives are being censored a lot on social media and so on, et cetera. But we're still finding alternative platforms. I mean, there's alternative platforms out there like PragerU. There are churches that are back. They're back open now. There are people that are hungry to worship God and to be around people and community. I can tell you at my church, we didn't shut down. I think maybe for the first week or two during COVID, and then my pastor was like, "Screw this! Listen, we're going to worship God. We're not putting up for this nonsense." It was new to everybody, but as you know, as the information didn't come out quick, you know, my pastor was like, "We are going back." And we did. So we never essentially shut down. We also invited people to continue to come that wanted to. So I don't even know if you would consider that a shutdown. And the church has grown significantly, but it's grown with young people, a lot more young people. And I think this is promising. You know why? Because people, they have seen what it feels like or felt what it feels like to be without community. And people want community. And so we're seeing younger people come into our church now, which I think is absolutely magnificent. So I absolutely love that. So the good news is the biggest drop was in the last few years. And I don't think we've gone that far. So I think these things are retrievable. We've just got to stand up and we've got to be able to fight and willing to fight for our country. We've got to be willing to push back and say, no, it's okay to be patriotic. We can love America, share the goodness of America, go back to church, find your community, find friends at church, go and do it. Let's change this stuff. We can, these people that don't want to have children, man, talk to your children about what it is for them to be a blessing to you and mention that. I'm convicted myself, but you want children, you want people around. Look at how the elderly are treated. God, you don't want to be one of these elderly people that are left alone in their last years of life with nobody around them. Explain this stuff to your children. So as bad as that poll was, it gave me some hope because I'm like, man, the biggest drop occurred in the last few years when the left threw everything at us. But now so many people are fighting back. I think we can turn this around. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. Also find me online, The Carl Jackson Show, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. All right, find me there. I would really appreciate it. Also on YouTube and Rumble, The Carl Jackson Show. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.